Turn Amen. Well, welcome everyone to Birmingham Bible Church Winning Wednesday. Of course, that was Candy West singing Turn Around. And of course, we believe that God is a God who can turn any and every situation around. And so thank you for joining us here on today. Welcome to all of our viewers who are around the world, whether you are watching us via Facebook, YouTube, our website, bhambc.org, or Twitter. Thank you for joining in. We love this time of the week. It's the middle of the week. It is not hump day. It is Winning Wednesday. And so, of course, we like to bring you topics. Take about an hour of your time to bring you some information from some experienced guests who can tell you how you can win, how we all can win in our situation. They, of course, encourage us, they enlighten us, and they educate us. And so thank you for all of you who are logging in, who have joined in to listen to this great information on today. Listen, you know how we do it. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you tag someone in the comment section. However you share your information, please share it. Text somebody, tell somebody about this broadcast because every now and then we present some information that hits everyone. Sometimes we give information that's just for parents or maybe just for men or just for women. And so this one is for everyone, because I believe at some point in our lives, we are all subject to some kind of pain for whatever reason it is, whether it is, arthritis or her sister bursitis, just whatever it is, various locations of our bodies. We have different types of pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, whatever it is. And sometimes we deal with it for short periods of time. Sometimes it's for long periods of time. And, we'll do things like take Tylenol or we'll use a pain reliever, or we'll, get cortisone shots. Of course, now, with the increase in opioid abuse, now we're just trying to stay away from, and doctors are not prescribing as much pain medication as they used to. And sometimes we just kind of forced to just suck it up, put a heat pad on it. By all means, of course, make sure you see a doctor because there may be some underlying cause as to why you're experiencing pain. But we're going to talk about some of that on today. We're going to dive into this discussion with a very experienced lady. She's actually helped Pastor Mason. She's about to help me as well. But she is going to really talk about how something as simple as breathing can affect your pain and how it can ease your pain, how it can ease your tension. Her name is Margaret Pittenger. Listen, she has over 50 years of experience. That's about how old I am. I'm 50 years old. Not trying to make you sound old, Miss Margaret, but she's experienced in 5 states. So she has a wealth of knowledge. She has master's degree. She's really a practitioner in different things. She's going to talk about that. Yoga instructor, the field Chris. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. Just different areas of expertise and manipulation and lymph drainage, but she has worked in so many different capacities. I know she's going to help you guys. She has helped our family personally. And so I want her to come on. She's going to introduce herself and really talk about how breathing can just help decrease tension, promote healing, increase those balance issues. It's a vast topic, so I'm going to let her just chop it up however she wants to. But listen, if you have questions, I'm especially on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can please put those questions in the comment section. We'll try to address those as much as we can. But I will give way now to Miss Margaret Pittenger. Hey, Miss Margaret.
Hey, Miss Pam. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, I'm glad to join you today because I would like to talk about pain and breathing, and that there are some very, very easy ways to help with the pain that are never discussed. You're right that if you go to the doctor with pain, you're going to hear about getting a pill to help with the pain instead of the doctor talking to you about using your own body to take care of the pain. And the first place to start with your own body is to get quiet and to do breathing movements and exercises. And if you look up breathing on the web, you're going to get a paragraph on how to breathe, and it's going to be all wrong. And so I got really frustrated after all those years that you mentioned. And so during COVID, I wrote a book called Between Breath and Pain to give an idea of how big this issue is, how big the landscape is, but really how simple our nervous system works with pain to quiet it down. And the first pathway into our nervous system to quiet the pain is to be able to breathe out longer than you breathe in. So if most people, when they say just breathe, everybody goes, oh, and they emphasize the in breath, but it's really the out breath and making the out breath longer than the in breath that quiets the nervous system and tells the brain that you want to do something about the pain. If you sit with the pain and you're just breathing fast and not breathing out long enough, then you're telling your nervous system that you are really worried, that you're scared, that this big bear is coming at you and you don't know what to do about it. And as soon as you breathe out longer than you breathe in, the moment you do it, it's a trigger to your brain that says, hey, I want to calm down. It's a trigger to your autonomic nervous system. Instead of being in fight and flight and being close to panic, the moment you breathe out, it tells the brain that you want to balance the autonomic nervous system. And then when you add a little bit of consistency to breathing out longer, your whole autonomic nervous system just calms down and goes back into balancing. And you have a chance to look at what's happening and think better. And your body sends out chemistry to handle whatever the issue is, whether you recognize that there was a fearful thing coming towards you, or whether it's the pain inside your body. And your brain will send out the chemistry to help you deal with that. It's an immediate response. It happens within seconds. It doesn't take a telegraph or 5 days later to have it show up. It's going to be immediate. It's going to be within seconds that your brain hears your request and it's going to do something about it. So the book that is talking about the brain and how it works, as well as trying to get people to consider themselves and to look at it as a human being, not as some kind of technical knowledge that only the doctor has control over, but rather we as humans have control over and can talk to our brains and can get our brains to respond to what we need, not by taking a pill, but by simply first having an awareness and second, breathing out.
Hey, Miss Margaret, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but as you was talking, I was thinking about, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I had the idea of, and for those of you who've had children and you've been in labor, and I remember them telling me to breathe like you were saying, but then I went, 8 years between the second and the third one. I didn't take classes. I just said, I'm just going to go in there. I forgot how to breathe. And I started doing that. And she said, no, I need you to slow down. and so is that kind of the same concept?
Yes, it's exactly the same concept. Yeah. As long as you were doing that really quick breathing, your body didn't really know what to do with that. Mm-hmm. You were telling it to get upset and remain upset. Mm-hmm. But as soon as she got you to breathe out and slow down, you'd go back to taking care of the birthing rhythm and not being about what else is happening in the room.
Yeah. That's good.
it's a concept that every person that I see as a patient doesn't know anything about. And they don't recognize that they have control over their body because we're so used to going to doctors and getting medication. And they don't recognize that as humans, we were given with our brain and our nervous system, we were given by God all of these amazing ways of dealing with our bodies, but we're just never taught how to use them very well. And so that's why I wanted to jump in here with a lot of information. So every patient that I see needs help to calm their breathing down and to get back into an awareness of their body. So they're so lost in the events of the day or what's going on around them or the intensity of the pain that they lose awareness of their body. And when you are not aware, then it's like being up on the moon and trying to open your front door. It just doesn't work. You're just far away. You can't do the activities that help you to be better. So awareness has to be there, but breathing out longer also has to be there. These are concepts that you can find in yoga if it's taught well. They are concepts that are very well known in Eastern philosophies, but not so well in the Western philosophies, because we have, in this country, we grew up with this Judeo-Christian idea that if you work hard enough, you're going to get what you want. Mm-hmm. When you apply that to pain, it usually means that the person works really hard to forget the pain and do whatever it is that they're going to do, whether it's a pickaxe against the ground, or whether you're shoveling, or whether you're on the computer, or whether you have, all these events in your work life that you have to meet goals for. They become precedent. Or in our day and age, whether it is that you feel like you can't give up looking at Facebook for 3 minutes and you're always trying to dial through what's going on. And so you're out there somewhere and completely negating what your body is trying to tell you. So when that happens, what your body does is it ramps up the pain. It makes it worse. When you're not paying attention to it, your body comes back. It's like pulling on your sleeve and saying, hey, I want your attention. Hey, you need to pay attention to this. And if you don't, then the pain goes up a little bit more, or it spreads out a little bit farther. You leave it a little bit longer, and pretty soon you have this overwhelming pain. And it's just your body still trying to get your attention. But if you don't know to then stop, pay attention to it and be aware of it, and then breathe out so that you can be in the moment with it, it just keeps ramping up and it feels like it's overwhelming. We forget that we have control over it. So along with that idea, in the reality of pain, pain is not pain is not pain. And what I'm trying to say is that every level of tissue in the body has a different reason or message that it sends to the brain. And so you have to take care of all the different levels of the tissue that are in trouble. And you can't just follow the gym world's idea of just do it. You can't push through it. You can't stretch the hell out of it. You have to pay attention to what the tissue needs, where the pain is. So for instance, if I'm walking through my house and I run my ankle up against a piece of furniture that I wasn't paying attention to, and all of a sudden I have this scrape, I've got swelling, I've got some inflammation around that scrape, and I hit it hard enough that I actually hit the bone. So in that situation, we've got all the layers of tissue involved, and every one of them requires something else to deal with. The first thing, though, if you sat down, our first reaction as humans is to put our hand on the thing that hurts. And that really is a very important process. It's not elementary. When you put your hand on the part that you hurt, you're bringing awareness to your brain. And your hand and your touch connects into the energy of the place that got hurt, and it builds a picture for your brain about what's happening. So it knows more about how to send in the chemistry to help the issue. So our first reflex to touch is very, very important to helping to relieve. The second thing that happens is that if you can calm down, say, the swelling and the inflammation around the cut, then that eliminates one level of pain that exists in that area. When you have swelling, which everybody intuitively knows is going to show up when you get a bump, when you have swelling, it's like pumping air into a tire. You get pressure out against the levels of the tire. And we use that pressure in a tire for a specific reason. But when you push that pressure against the cellular structure of where a hurt is, you're going to have a lot of pain. And it's a marker for the brain that this is where the problem is. But you've got to get rid of the swelling. So that's another area of the tissue. And then if the cells of the bone got hurt, then that has to be relieved in a specific way. So every one of those levels of tissue can have a different way of coming at it in order to help the pain. And as you were talking about, what we often do is put a heating pad on there. And I would encourage everyone to use a heating pad when they have pain someplace, because the ultimate idea is that the circulation increases. And so the body can bring in to help the place that hurts. So a heating pad is always helpful. Cold works also because it decreases swelling. And when you've added those two things to an area and swelling goes down, inflammation goes down, pain goes down. So those are things that we can do. But ultimately, leaving your hand on the space and spending a couple minutes with that space, just with gentleness and breathing out, also decreases swelling, decreases inflammation, decreases the trauma of the situation, connects that spot to your brain and to yourself as a human being, and allows all the parts of us, which are conscious and unconscious, connected to the universe as well as connected to our physical body, to work with that incident and to help it to heal, go away, and no longer be a trauma. So I'm talking about a cut on a leg, but for every problem that occurs, those things will help. And ultimately, it's about how you stay connected to the issue with your own touch, with gentle words, with breathing out to calm the sympathetic nervous system and let it go back into balance. So usually all of that I just said are not things that people think about. So it'd be interesting to hear if you had a reaction to that.
I think it's something that we always have done, but just, well, especially the touch, you just don't think about it's, calming my sympathetic nervous system down. I can get tension right here, and the first thing I do is I'll be trying to massage it out and touch it. And so it's just amazing how that, just how God designed the body.
Yes.
that it's really designed to actually heal itself if we go back to that original pattern of when we first were born.
Right.
Yeah.
With a little bit of extra information, the body is set up to heal itself. And what you talked about with shoulder tension, that's probably 90% of what people come to me about is they walk through the door and they say, I hold tension in my neck and shoulders. And so it's a human thing that we hold tension. What we aren't taught is how to let go of the tension and keep it away. If you're holding tension in your neck and shoulders and it stays that way day after day after day, that's going to lead to pain because your body is saying, hey, let go. I want you to pay attention to this and I want you to let go of it, but we aren't taught how to let go. So also in the book is about a lot of different ways to let go, because there's information here about how the nervous system works. So if you have a certain amount of tension in your shoulders and you don't have an idea of just being able to let go, then one of the things that you can do with that tension is to lift your shoulders just a little bit higher, add a little bit more tension, because that creates a comparison in your brain. Your brain says, oh, the tension was at that level. Now you've added more, and it's paying attention to that. And then if you just let go, your brain knows how to go back to zero because you gave it 2 points of comparison, and then it can just let go. And that seems very simple to people, but it's a very easy way to do things. The other way to deal with tension in the body is to work with the muscles that are going in the opposite direction. So every muscle has an equal and opposite partner. So the muscles that lift, if they're overworked every day and they never have a chance to go back to zero, then they're going to hold tension and pain and swelling and inflammation. And you can get rid of that. But if you don't recognize that you can then push down and work with the muscles that take your shoulders down, then you're missing out on some of the naturalness of how the body works. So the muscles that lift, we overwork because it's kind of it's kind of a communication to ourselves and to other people. Hey, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. And then in order to get rid of that tension, one way is to work with the muscles that are partners in the opposite direction. So if you sit in a chair that has arms on it, you can do kind of a push-up to send the shoulders in the opposite direction, and that makes the muscles that lift turn off. So it's another way of getting them to let go.
That's good. I'm doing it as you're talking. Don't mind me, y'all. I'm getting therapy.
Good.
Right.
Good. I hope people are trying it too. So if you push down on the arm and your shoulder has to go down when you press down, so you're using the muscles that are depressors and the muscles that are elevators, they have to shut off because you can't go in two directions at the same time.
Yeah. And
same thing with back pain or neck pain. If you're holding because you're leaning forward and looking into your phone or working on your computer all the time and everything is forward, then you need to do something that opens the chest, pulls your shoulders back, takes the head back. And you can't necessarily do that sitting very well. But if you were lying down, if you laid down on your stomach and lifted your head and shoulders up and then put them back down again, you'd be using the muscles that were overworked in a way that they can release tension and energy and stop hurting.
Yeah. I had a picture as you were talking about, what we do to our bodies every day. It's almost like we're this rubber band. And if you keep putting stuff on the rubber band and keep putting stuff on it, then it's just going to kind of snap. And I think that's how I feel sometimes with the tension in the neck, is just, you just keep doing this and keep doing this and keep leaning over. And then we never get a chance to bring our bodies back to zero or allow that rubber band to collapse, so to speak.
That's an excellent, excellent picture that you've put together, because that is exactly what happens. You're pushing the tissue beyond what it can handle, just like a rubber band, and it is going to snap. So it snaps with pain and spasms, and the tissue underneath where the pain is becomes very strident. And so that's connective tissue holding energy and organizing itself to be like a hard rubber band from overuse at a certain direction. The muscle tissue becomes hardened. It runs out of oxygen, especially if you're not breathing very, very well. And so it runs out of oxygen and it becomes strident in itself and painful in itself and hard to move. It's very tight. And then you say to yourself, oh, well, this is just arthritis because it's tight to move, or it hurts, or it's swollen. Well, that's not true. If you just put the word arthritis, then you've set up a roadblock in it instead of dealing with the issue. So if you work with the muscles that work in the opposite direction of where the pain is, then the muscle that's hurt has a chance to relax, to calm down, and come back into partnership with the muscles all around the joint.
That's good. So in doing those type of, I don't know what you're going to say next, but in doing those type of, pulling the muscles back in the opposite direction, should you hold it for a certain length of time? Is there so many reps you should do? Should we always do it at night, throughout the day?
Yeah, those are very good questions, because that's the usual pattern that people follow, especially out in the gym world. It's an idea of just do it. So it's pushing hard. It's you got to hold it. You got to stretch the heck out of it to make it work better. But those things are more like punishments to the body. The body really doesn't like being hit with a 2x4. It likes the quiet whisper in the quiet room. And then it's up, it's ready, it's listening, and everything is focused on what that whisper is. So when you work with a problem, going in the opposite direction, no, you don't have to hold it. All you need is the experience of moving in the opposite direction and then come back, so that both sides of the muscles are working together and the brain is working to make them equal to each other, because that's what the brain wants. It wants us to be centered. It wants us to be healthy. It wants us to be equal and opposite, so that all options are available. And the brain learns by having sensation. The brain learns by the sensation of going in both directions. So there's a pull here and there's a pull through these fingers. And then as you come back, every joint in the fingers and the wrist and the forearm are feeling the change of tension and pressure and feeling the pull of the muscles to come forward. And so then you feel the tension over here. All of that is built into the system so that the brain knows where you are in space and feels the quality of going in one direction and then going in the other direction. And so by doing that, you're restoring order, so to speak. You're restoring a center that the hand can come back to, or the other part of your body can come back to, and be aware of where it is in space. So any exercise that you would do to go in the opposite direction should be done gently, equal and opposite energy, and just give yourself an experience of what it feels like to go in the opposite direction, and your brain will do everything else. Our brains have a system which is now called, my brain just forgot it, neuroplasticity. So this system has been with us since we were humans for thousands and thousands of years. It's how we were made. It's how we've always worked. But the medical profession has only just now agreed that it's there and put a name on it. So it's called neuroplasticity. And what that basically breaks down to is if you do something with multiple pieces of input into the body, then it learns in a very big way what's going on. It has all sorts of information, and it cements that idea and continues to use it. If you make the idea unpleasant, it's not going to keep the information. But when you make it pleasant with positivity, with positive words, and with gentle, easy movements that are not creating pain, then the brain keeps that and uses it in the future. if you talk to somebody in the gym, they'll say, well, you have to do something 200 times in order to learn. But that's not true. The brain only needs 3 times to learn. So every time it does this movement, the first time in and out, it gathers information about where the hand is in space, what the tension is on all the joints, how far did the hand come forward, how far did the hand go backwards. The second time, it picks up on the same information, and it's never going to be the same. So there's a random piece of information there. How far did we go? This time I wanted to pull my finger forward. These fingers were up. And then when I went backwards, everybody went together and they went a little bit farther. The third time I do it, it has all the information it needs to make the movement comfortable and full range and easy. And it remembers exactly what to do that. And this is one of the problems that for why we hold tension, is that we think that when we do an activity, if we don't hold the tension for how we did that activity, then the brain won't remember. But it does. If you do the activity 3 times gently, you have everything you need to know about that activity. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to hold the tension and be ready to jump on it the next time it shows up. We don't need to be ready. All we need to do is have the incident show up and we know exactly what to do with it.
Right. I will say, which is why we don't like to go to the gym because we got to 200 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So it's a lot of extra energy when you already have what you need.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to pump up your muscles so you can go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, then that's a necessary thing to do. But we came equipped with everything that we need to live and work in gravity. Our brain puts out a certain amount of strength in our muscles. So I'm holding my arm up here in gravity and I know exactly how to swing it side to side, and then I can put it down. So that came with me. I learned to do that through all the years and when I was a child growing up and doing all the activities that children do. We are the only mammals that take the first 8 years of our lives to put all of the things together that we as humans can do. We roll down hills, we jump up and down, we climb trees, we play baseball, and we learn how to use a lever to swing a bat and use our muscles to do that. We learn how to run. We learn how to wrestle. All of that activity that we did as children is what forms the basis for us to move on as adults. But then when we get to be adults, we have these rules that we have to follow. And all of a sudden, we've forgotten all the freedom and all the creativity that we had as children. And I just see that all the time with everybody who comes in. You know, they have the rules of how to work. They have the rules of how they have to work for that corporation. And the rules seem to get worse every year. It began to be, I would get women coming in with back pain, and then they would tell me that their boss watches them all the time and they feel really uncomfortable getting up to go to the bathroom when they need to go, and so they're holding all this tension from being watched. So there is a change in the workplace. But there's also this lack of information for us as adults, on how to be creative and free and happy and jump around and do things. And it shows up in how we walk. So one of the ways that I wanted to write this book was to talk about us as humans. And so I put poetry in the book. And so I'm looking for a particular poem. Well, okay, here we are. All right. So all the tension that we carry shows up in how we walk, and it creates all sorts of problems across the whole body. But one of the things that I try to get, especially women, to understand is that holding the body tight and not swinging the arms and walking very fast with a lot of tension in their legs. That's not normal walking. And that's not the way that we were meant to walk. So Maya Angelou, when she wrote Phenomenal Woman, was describing the attitude, the depth of who we are as women. And it's been pushed out of us for a long time. We're not supposed to swing our hips. We're not supposed to look a certain way. We're not supposed to, have our chest out. We're all these things that we've been told as women that would make us horrible people. But in actuality, that energy of who we are is what we should do when we're walking. We should be swinging our arms. We should be moving with great pride in who we are, whether we're men or women. So what she says in the poem, pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arm, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That is how I think all of us should walk, with the spring in our step and the width of our body, and just being able to swing our arms and look around and smile and say, this is me. I'm presenting me to the world. And when we can do that and be authentic and aware of us, then we are one unit. We are the unit that we were born to be.
That's good. Yeah, I was thinking, because you're right, when we're infants and, we spend all this time moving, and then we become adults, and it's like you said, we're sitting at the desk, or we're at the cubicle, or we're listening to lectures, and we're stuck in this stagnant pattern. And so the body just kind of forgets how to move, or it's from the TV, and then we go to bed, and then we're just laying there, so I like how you talk about how we just need to really get to moving and just get out of those, get unstuck. That's what I'm getting unstuck.
Yes. So giving permission to people to move in the way that they should move. Back in the 70s, we had, there was a t-shirt around with the words on it, "Keep on trucking." And the picture of the guy on that t-shirt with long legs and a boombox on his shoulder, and he was swinging his arm and a big smile on his face. And just that idea of keep on trucking, again, that's humanness. That is the way we should walk. That is what we should be doing, with this beat in our head, swinging our arms, swinging our body, and just walking naturally. And then there is no held tension. There is no pain in that body that's keeping on trucking. There is just an enjoyment in ourselves and an enjoyment of who we are, our own personalities, our own humanness, to come into the world and be ourselves. And there is no pain in that. There is just strength.
Yeah. And so how does that relate to, improving our posture? So the deep breathing, the touch, is it just a matter of, okay, if I'm sitting here, I need to be just kind of more aware of how I'm sitting, make sure my shoulders are down? And
yes, so that's an excellent question, and it's a very complicated question at the same time. So let's say one answer to that question is, if you got up from your desk and you walk down the hallway where you are, and you practice that idea of the phenomenal woman and swinging, or you just practice that idea of being with the boombox and the beat in your head, and you walked fully down there, then you would be integrating all the things that are built into our nervous system to be upright in gravity. Our skeleton is meant to hold us up. Our eyes give us all sorts of information about where we are in space and where our head is, and keeps our head upright. We have a law inside of us that says that we have to keep our eyes on the horizon. If we're always leaning forward and looking at things and our eyes are not on the horizon, then all the muscles that bring us forward stay forward and they stay shortened. But when you start practicing letting go of tension, swinging, moving, having the eyes on the horizon, being able to scan the horizon, which was a skill we needed in the jungle and on the plains, but we don't need it except now when we're driving. So people don't scan with their eyes very much. It's always straightforward, walking straight, very stiff. But the moment you turn your head and your eyes to scan where you are, your whole skeleton and all the muscles that run your skeleton have to change. They have to follow that information and do something to keep you upright. And if you're swinging your hips and swinging your arms, there's another law inside of us called opposition. So if my right arm is swinging forward, my left hip is going backwards. And so my trunk rotates, and we call this reciprocal action or reciprocal walking, opposite arm and leg, but that's built into our nervous system. And when we move our eyes and we walk with easy movement, it shows up automatically because it's a part of our nervous system. So I'm trying to answer your question, and I think I sort of did, but the first way to work with an upright posture is to make sure that your eyes are free to scan and that they are involved with everything that you do with a full range of motion, not stuck looking at a screen over here to the right while you're typing over here to the left and doing that for 8 hours a day and then standing up and walking stiffly out of the office. But if you do that 8 hours a day and you stand up and you start swinging and moving and put a smile on your face, your body's going to put you back into good posture because it wants you to be there. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. Yeah, that's good.
If you walk out of your job with the rules wrapped around your head and the fear of the 8 hours that you spent there or the 12 hours that you spent there, and you carry that home, then you're going to carry that as a posture. Our posture is related to our emotions. It's related to how we feel about ourselves. It's related to whether or not we want to be seen or whether or not we want to be open. And when you can walk with a good swing and let your eyes scan the horizon and see where you are in space, your body puts back a positive sense and it puts back upright posture as much as it can. You might need some help to open up muscles that are too short or that aren't strong enough back here because you bent over for 8 hours. But basically, your body's going to put it back and give it back to you as much as it can.
Good. You know, what about, do you see young clients, you know, because I'm thinking our children, they're carrying backpacks and whatever else, you know, they're on those phones, they're like this, summer's out, school is out, and so they're hunched over. Are you seeing younger clients as well?
Sure, I see younger clients. And unfortunately, I have to say that I never saw children with back pain until computers showed up.
Wow.
Because they became so over and forward and intentionally in this direction. And then they never came back into themselves. They didn't go out and play baseball then for 2 hours. They didn't go on a hill to let go of the tension they were carrying. They just carried the tension of being in front of that thing and following the rules as they went on. So kids with back pain is a new experience. Also, sports have become so much more intentional. Young kids being forced to practice for hours when their bodies and their ligaments and their muscles are not ready to do that. And so that's another reason in our culture, we push kids harder to be perfect, to make things accomplished way before they're old enough to do that. But mostly it's computers. So yes, I do see kids.
Wow.
But you could avoid that pain by having them roll down a hill.
So funny. A few hours ago, I said, "Hey guys, y'all, let's go outside sometime later on today." I said, "Sure," and I just never thought about that until you said it because, well, I don't know about roll down the hill, but we'll
Well,
get them outside.
center for the body. And so everybody, all the muscles just kind of reorient themselves to where they should be. But to go out and run and play and catch and jump
Right.
up in the sunshine is
Yeah.
going to reorient the eyes and the head and the neck to ask the person to be upright.
All those things we did when we were little,
Yes.
before there were cell phones,
Yeah.
when we had the rotary dial, we were all outside playing, climbing trees, like you said, rolling down the hills, all that stuff. Yeah.
All that stuff is extremely important. And as I said, we're the only mammals who spend the first 8 years of our lives putting together all the levels of our nervous system. It is so, I don't want to use the word complicated because that puts people off, but it is so multi-layered, but it requires sensation. How we grow and how we let go of tension requires sensation coming into the body so that the nervous system can make a judgment and then produce a motor behavior. If you never change up the sensation of what you're doing and you're always here,
Right.
you're like putting up cement walls for the nervous system to be able to help you change. Uh-oh.
Making too much noise over here. So I had to cut it off. Well, this was very enlightening, Miss Margaret. Anything else that you want to add for our viewers? I know you wrote a book, so I'm sure you got like a lot of stuff.
But
Anything else you want to share with us? This is great.
well, yeah. So we just have a couple minutes left. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. That's fine.
Okay. So yeah, I would like to add some thoughts here. So in the front of the book, I have a poem by Liesl Mueller. It's called Alive Together. And I think that to end what I'm saying and to end the fact that as human beings and breathing being a most important way of being in the world with ourselves as well as with other people, it is a remarkable thing, our life here on Earth. And she starts the poem by saying, speaking of marvels, I am alive together with you when I might have been alive with anyone under the sun. And she gives a lot of examples of various things that might have happened. Mm-hmm. I might have been Mary Shelley in love with a wrong-headed angel, or Mary's friend. I might have been you. Mm-hmm. This poem is endless. The odds against us are endless. Our chances of being alive together statistically non-existent. Mm-hmm. Still, we've made it. Alive in a time when rationalists and square hats and hatless Jehovah's Witnesses agree it's almost over. Alive with our lively children who, but for endless ifs, might have missed out on being alive together with marvels and follies, journeys, voices and faces, knowledge and tears and chance.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you, Miss Margaret, for sharing with us. And your voice is just so calm and so auditory, touch, breathing, all that is so important to relieving tension and pain. Yeah. And just a reminder, just everything you said is just a reminder of just how, like you said, we're just westernized. Western civilization has caused us to be more in our electronics with increasing technology. Just time to, we gotta, 8 hours we have to produce, with our bosses. and we're just not aware of our bodies and where they are in space. And then
Right.
by the time we are aware, it looks like a migraine, or you that's what it looks like. Oh, something's wrong. I'm hurting. I'm in pain. And that pain is indication that, we need to fix something. Um, and so like I said before, some pain, you need to go see a doctor and, make sure it's nothing, wrong in a major way. But this was awesome. Listen, guys, like I said before, Miss Margaret has actually helped Pastor Mason with his walking pattern, just not realizing that some people just kind of work. You think walking is just kind of, it should be just easy, like you said, stride, like Maya Angelou, just, it should be a stride, but we're so, we don't realize a lot of times we're just working at doing the simple things, and so yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, you gonna say something?
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you. And yes, we're working at the simple things, but with too much energy, too much push, and not
Yeah,
enough awareness of just letting it be, letting it flow
yeah,
through.
yeah. So this was wonderful. Listen, and we've shared the flyer. I'm just going to kind of go ahead and put it up here. Miss Margaret is going to do something in person. We are, let's see, let me pull it up for a second. Yeah. So we're going to have an in-person session. We are bringing back our Divas Den. We used to have that years ago. Ladies come together. And so throughout the year, we're going to be coming together, doing some fun stuff, just fellowship and what have you, having some time of fun and chance to flourish as women. But she's going to be doing an in-person thing for us. We're going to have it July the 29th. And she's going to, in her own way, just really show us how we can put this into practice, what this looks like. We're going to leave so much better. We're going to be breathing easier. We're going to know how to just ease that tension and ease the pain and, practice these things before. I strategically put this right before the kids go back to school, because y'all already know when the kids go back to school, now you're forced to work, and then you got to get them here, get them there. And so this will be a great time for everyone. So listen, of course, this is going to be in a library. So space is limited. Please sign up. You can email us at Lady Pam at tcowi.org, Lady Pam at tcowi.org. Make sure you include your name, how many guests you are bringing, any food allergies. We're going to have some hors d'oeuvres and what have you. But this will be a great time to put a lot of these things into practice. But also, Miss Margaret, well, in a minute, I'm going to go through a couple of announcements, and then I want you to tell people how they can contact you and also how they can buy your book and that sort of stuff. So we're going to get to that in a second. Also on tomorrow, we have our virtual hangout. We have our small group. So small group is tomorrow. We are studying about the Disciples Cross. It is a Zoom. So if you're interested, please send us an email at smallgroups@bhimbc.org. That is smallgroups@bhimbc.org. And also, we are accepting registrations, continuing registrations for our spiritual renewal retreat. Don't forget that. That is June 23rd through 25th. Great speakers. We are going to be accepting registrations even the day of. But please send us an email so we can make sure we have enough food, enough space, what have you. Please, if you want some more information, you can email me at ladypam@tcowi.org. That's ladypam@tcowi.org. If you want to go ahead and register, go to our website, bhimbc.org, click on the flyer, and then you can register that way. Of course, your $100, that's all it is, $100 for those 3 days, includes your meals, your snacks, and of course, it includes the speakers, these wonderful speakers that you see before you on the flyer. Also, don't forget, we have less than a week to order your new BBC shirts. And so we're excited about these shirts. You have less than a week. You can register either on Sunday. Sunday will be the last day that you can register. Other than that, you can go online and order your BBC shirts. Go to the website, behambc.org, and then you can click on the flyer and order, putting your size and your payment amount and all that good stuff. I believe that's all we have. One more thing we have coming up, though, in August, preparing everybody for that, is our back to school rally, getting the kids off to a great start with guest speakers, with free school supplies. So that's going to be August the 6th at 10 o'clock a.m. at C.W. Hayes School. Also on that day, we're going to announce the winners of the summer reading program. So summer reading program is in full effect as we speak from June the 5th to August the 4th. Please allow your children to go to our website, click on this flyer, and they can put in the books that they have read, but there's some instructions there. So it's not just putting in, I read this book. You actually have to say something about that book, but all that is on the website. But we have winners that's going to be for certain age categories that we are going to announce with a grand prize on the day of the back to school rally. So guys, you have 2 months to do so. Parents, please make sure you make your children aware of that and all the specifications. So that's all I have. Miss Margaret, you have helped us as a whole here on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. So how can people set up an appointment with you, one-on-one appointment? And also, how can they purchase your book, and also we have it here too. I don't know, hopefully the light won't make it too bright, but we have it here too as well. So it is a great book. It has codes in here that you can actually scan so you can see actually how the movement is supposed to be, but great book. So how can we contact you, Miss Margaret?
Yes, thank you. If you go to the website betweenbreathandpain.com, you can send me an email to talk to me about a problem or set up an appointment. Or you can also see that I will also be having classes across the summer, and those will be listed so that you can contact me if you want to come to a class.
Awesome. Sounds good. Oh,
or buy a book. That would be great. You can just do it right there on.
There we go. Buy the book and set up an appointment. Do both.
Yes.
So yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Miss Margaret, for giving us your time, this great information. I know it's condensed in 1 hour, not enough time, but just thank you for gracing us with your presence and giving us this very important information for all of us. We look forward to, of course, seeing you in person in July. But once again, guys, to set up an appointment with Miss Margaret, go to her website, Between Breath and Pain. Did I say that right?
Yes, .com.
.com.
Yes. Thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you guys on next week, next Wednesday at the same time. If you're interested in buying a home, want to know what that looks like, you want to tune in next week as we have Brandy Fagan. She is a home realtor. She's going to talk to us about what that looks like, home ownership, what all you need to do, what's all involved in it, and how you can set yourself up for success. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Miss Margaret. Until next time, we'll see you next week. All right. Bye-bye.